Okay, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. I see fewer people here than last time. Makes me sad. It should make those people sad too, because they will lose 5%. It also makes me sad because of the emails that we'll probably have to deal with. Okay. So, go ahead and log into the computer. Okay, so we're strolling in. So let's, go ahead and log into, not your computer, but the computers that are here, because for the last step we'll be using SPSS, and you need these computers to do that. Okay, so once you log in to Blackboard, open up the announcements, and the first announcement, one at the bottom, will have the login info. Just get to that point. Okay, so here's what we're going to do to over-determine this. Copy this information into a Word document. Okay, and then save that Word document, leave it open. Okay, so everyone do that. And not a Google Drive, I mean like a Microsoft Word, so it's way from here. Then, on whichever browser you use, click this, or go to History, and delete browsing data, delete history, and delete everything. Everything should be selected for all time. Delete. Clear your history in whichever browser you used. Okay, and then the login info should still be on the Word document. Now, again, just to over-determine this, open a different browser. So if you're on Chrome, go to Edge. If you're on Edge, go to Chrome or whatever. Okay? And then, sorry, I shouldn't have logged in because I'm actually going to need this later. But then on that new browser, then paste the stuff in. Okay, I'm just going to say this for the people watching the video later, just make this extra clear. So, once you've deleted your history and all of that, you copy this into here. You do not use your Douglas login info. You copy this password into here, and then sign it. And then this is what we'll be using. Okay, so now since people are helping out. Okay, so
much sense.
So I heard another O. Show of hands, who is still not here? Look at that, no hands. Okay. So, now let's walk through this. So this is the survey template. So I'll start by saying something. This is the tiny bit of teaching I'll be doing today. Very brief. So in graduate school, I used a variety of fancy statistical analyses. You learn, I'm going to close the door. You learn lots of different statistical and research techniques, and I used some of the fancy ones in my dissertation. But in the condensed version of my dissertation, I only used two: a t-test and Pearson's R, correlation coefficient. Dead simple. I did something fancy to get the dependent variables, but once I had the dependent variables, that's all I used. So just very brief review. The two most basic methods in psychology. You get a group of people, randomly assign them to two conditions. We talked about this a bit last time. You do something to one group that you don't do to the other group. So, give one group the antidepressant, give the other group a placebo. This is the independent variable. And then the dependent variable might be a happiness questionnaire or a depression questionnaire or whatever. And if the antidepressant group is happier at the end, you now have evidence that the independent variable caused a change in the dependent variable. Obviously, this is all review. The statistical method for determining whether this difference is statistically significant is a certain kind of t-test. specifically an independent samples t-test, which I'll show you how to do in SPSS. So that, and then the other method, of course, is your linear correlation coefficient. So, two variables, let's say happiness and self-esteem. And again, I'll be showing you how to do that in SPSS. So I'm going to keep the structure of the surveys really simple. If you have a burning desire to do something different, you can ask me. I might just say no just to keep things simple, but so what you'll be doing is you'll be picking one manipulation. So something that you do to one group and don't do to the other. Could be you give them a different writing prompt, you make them read something, and the other group reads something neutral. There's different ways to do it. You can make it up, or you can get it from a survey, like from a past study. It's up to you. And then you will have two dependent variables. So some kind of short questionnaire. And keep it relatively short because everyone in the class will do your survey. We're going to have one day, which is the day-to-day, where everyone does everyone else's survey except your own. So don't have something really long because that's going to be really inconvenient. So, so two dependent variables. So, like here, maybe you do happiness and self-esteem. So obviously we're not giving people antidepressants in this class, but that kind of thing. And the survey templates, you see here 2301 survey template, you can open up and take a look. So this is just a skeleton. It's a skeleton that you'll put meat on. So this is where you put the basic questions. So here, if you do this for real, a consent form is a lot longer. The uni will require, or college will require you to put all kinds of goofy stuff in there. Then at the end, do you consent to participate in the study? So I have two conditions. One is the comedy condition, one's the horror condition. So it's just, please write a few sentences about your favorite comedy movie, and the other, please write a few sentences about your favorite horror movie. I have a note here. Make sure your two conditions have a question. That's the simplest way to make sure that you can tell in the data set which condition people are in. There's actually other ways to do it, but this guarantees that there's some value in the data set that identifies who's in which condition. So those are the two conditions, and there's two scales, happiness and extraversion. These scales are kind of a joke, they're just one question each, but again, this is just a skeleton. And then at the end, there's a debriefing, which for a real study would be longer than this. That's just where you briefly say what your hypothesis was. For our purposes, that's good enough. All of this stuff that you see here, and you can add questions like this. You press the plus, and then you can choose it to be multiple choice or text entry. So I'll do that again. So the plus gives you a new question. And then this here allows you to determine which kind of question it is. Then there's all sorts of stuff here. How many choices do you want? Add requirements you might want to do that. You can make it forced response. So that means like you have to, people don't have the option of skipping the item. So you have lots of options there. Okay, very important as well is this. So everything we've talked about so far is here. And maybe don't edit this one because that might lead to weirdness. I'll show you how to make a copy in a second. So yeah, don't edit right now. So everything we've been talking about so far is in the builder, which is the clipboard. Under it is the survey flow. This is the logic of the question. So when you make a copy of this, which I'll show you how to do in a second, just leave this basically the same. You can double check to make sure you didn't accidentally change something. So there's the consent form here. There's a branching condition, which says if you say no to consent, then that makes it the end of the survey. So you always include that. This is very important. It's a randomizer, so it randomly assigns people to one of these two conditions, either the comedy condition or the horror condition. So you can just leave those blocks as is and put in whatever goofiness you want to put in for your study. Then there's the 2 scales, then the debriefing, and then the end. So that's the basic setup of a Qualtrics survey. Any questions about that? Yes?
You said there's no way of knowing what conditions someone got unless I put in like a question?
There is another way, but this is the simplest way.
Okay.
I want to foolproof the process.
And the question you're talking about is like the description of the movie, so I'm supposed to like read the description and then know, okay, this is a description of a comedy.
No, even better than that. It'll just be, like, these are 2 separate questions. So once you download it as an SPSS file, it'll be 2 different columns.
Oh, I see. Okay,
right?
so I'll see the question and the answer.
Yeah, it'll just be like, oh, they answered. So in other words, if they answer the comedy question, this column will just be blank for them because they wrote nothing. So it's dead easy to see who did what.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you don't have to read each one and figure out whether it's a comedy. That'd be a thing. Okay, someone else added this. Okay, so don't add anything to this. Now, whenever you make changes to it, you have to hit publish before doing it. So since we added and deleted some stuff, I'm just going to do that. Yes?
In this example, is the comedy or horror condition your independent variable?
Exactly. So in this, and again, this is not a very serious study, but yeah, I would be looking at the effect of thinking about a horror movie versus thinking about a comedy movie. That's the independent variable, the type of movie you're thinking about. And then there's 2 dependent variables, extraversion and happiness. Yes?
So the survey should be like 3 to 5 minutes kind of thing?
Yeah, it should be pretty short. So, in fact, even though I've kind of made fun of this survey and said it's kind of goofy, if you want to do one like this, it's fine. Like the point of this class, in my opinion, is not to show you how to have like really good ideas. You know, people are lucky if they have one good idea in their life. What I want to teach you is just how to do the skeleton of it, like what the it's research methods, right? So it's more about the method than it is, do you have a brilliant idea that you're testing?
And it can be multiple choice or short answer. Can we add photos?
You can add photos, yes. So you hit plus. Oh yeah, here. So go to Rich Content Editor and then this. So you open up. So you click text slash. These are good questions. So text slash graphic, and you guys are free to play with this, of course, and find other things. But so if you hit text slash graphic and then you click Rich Content Editor, there's a little thing there that allows you to put an image. So yeah, image is fine too. Like all kinds of studies do that. Like the C gross image condition. Maybe don't do, well, one thing I'll say in general, so if you're unsure about whether it's ethical, just err on the side of a lamer survey, is what I would say. And of course, if you are unsure also, just check with me and I'll make a decision. Yeah.
There's also, if you go into content type, you can choose graphic or file.
Oh, okay, yeah,
so
I see that.
if you have a graphic on which the question is written,
yeah,
you can, anyway, sorry.
No, hey, these are good. So yeah, so there's also, content type is another way to get that. Just delete this, publish it. So now what I'm gonna do, and I can tell you, some of you've been playing with it anyways, go back to, so hit back, go to here. Oh, so one of you already did this. So click here, project options, copy project, and just as Rachel has done, you don't have to name it, you can call it whatever you want, just make sure your name is there somewhere. So you can call it like Bob's Amazing Survey, what I don't care. And so then you'll keep all the formatting that's there, and then you'll use that to put your stuff in. You will not have to choose the stuff today. The key deadline that I will repeat several times today is you have to have your survey ready by June 12th, right? That's the day when we're all doing each other's surveys in class. Did someone add this smiley face?
Yes.
Okay, this is not, who did this? Minus 5%. Okay, everyone, open up the consent form. It's actually kind of important. Okay, everyone open up their, this should not be here. It should be binary, yes or no. Okay, okay. Everyone, do not okay, hello everyone. Do not edit the survey template, please.
No.
Just your own.
Just fuck with your own, exactly. Stay off. Oh, come on here. Someone read. Okay. What? Why? Okay, reminder, please copy this survey and make a new one. Okay, everyone watch this. The way to do that, go back, click on my one, click copy project, and then name it something. So if your name happens to be, I don't know, well, I won't say, Bob's Amazing Survey, or whatever, and then copy project. In fact, here, I'm gonna rename my project. Do not edit your name, David Simpson. It's a good name for a survey. This should be here, this branch. Make sure it's here. So you click edit. So you should select question, select the consent question, so it'll be the statement and the question. If no is selected, okay. So that means if someone says, oh, or yes, so then the survey will end, right? Can't force people to do your survey. So it should look like this. There should be two conditions underneath the randomizer, and it should say randomly present one, not both. You could do both, but then it's dumb. It's not an experiment. And then these two scales and the debriefing and the end. Once you've made any change, you click apply. That means it saves your survey flow. And then you go back to Builder and do the more fun stuff. And then publish here is how you save this stuff. Actually, really, it saves everything. If you hit publish, let me back up. This part actually saves automatically, but if you don't hit publish, it's not saved for people who take the survey. So if you changed it here but forgot to hit publish, it's still saved, but then anyone who takes the survey link, the changes won't be there. That's what publish means. But for the survey flow, you have to hit apply to save it. Okay, so after all that fun, any questions about how this works? Okay, we got through it. Yeah. And by the way, like science is a very unglamorous thing in practice. So like in graduate school, I spent a lot of my time doing, well, stuff like this, but also, washing people's hair after EEG, trying to get the machines to work. It's a lot of boring and irritating, trivial stuff like this. Okay, so again, no questions? Is anyone, yep?
What is the difference between this and like a Google form?
There's differences, I don't know, they're different things. Yeah, it's better for experiments. I don't know if Google Forms has randomization in it, but this is the standard thing for science experiments. Okay, so now we are all going to do this survey, except for me, and then we'll analyze the data. So this is just to give us practice with the whole process. So go to distributions. So right here you'll see distributions. And then click on the option anonymous link. This is the easiest way to do it. Oh, and again, this time it is on mine, not on yours.
Oh, go to the edit.
So yes, actually, I should say, go back. So go to like the list here, see all projects. Find the one that says do not edit unless your name is David Simpson. Okay? Go to that one, the one that says do not edit unless your name is David Simpson. Not yours. Okay, show of hands, is everyone now on, everyone's on here? Okay. So then, click on distributions. click on anonymous link. And then you can probably guess, you click copy survey link. And here it doesn't matter what browser you put it on. Open a new tab and paste the link. And then just do the survey. So this shouldn't take very long. Okay, you're gonna have a rough day.
All right.
No, so yeah, you probably just have to watch the video later to get caught up. Okay. Okay, so everyone go back to here. Go back to the actual place. Go to data and analysis. So let's see. Some of them are still loading. Actually, this is a chance for you to get help, I guess. So, well, just take a deep breath. In fact, yeah, let's say this is break time. Let's take like 7 minutes or whatever. So, we'll come back at 4:25. That'll give this person a chance to get caught up. So, at 4:25, I will show you how to download this and analyze it in SPSS. Okay, everybody. All right. Now the fun part. I mean, all of this is fun, of course. So just go ahead and hit refresh, just to make sure everything's. It takes some time to upload them all. So, show of hands. Does anyone not see this right now? Good. And then click export/import. And then click export data. There's different options here for different things. We'll be using in this class SPSS, which is very, very nice. In graduate school, you may learn about something called R. R is evil.
R is what's talked about in this book.
I know the book talks a lot about R. It does have more flexibility, that's the upside of it, but it involves coding, and I hate coding. SPSS, basically no coding. There's a way of doing it with no coding. So click on SPSS, and then just click download. And then it will take a second. Okay, so guys, that works. So if for some reason the file inside the zip thing isn't opening, just open this, minimize the browser, and minimize anything else you have open. Just drag this into the desktop, and then open it here. So for me, I didn't need to, but someone else, that was required. So if for some reason it's not opening, you can drag it from the zip thingamajig into the desktop. This part, you can just hit close, it doesn't matter. Okay, so go to downloads. So if you're on the browser and it's disappeared for any reason, go to here, to downloads, click on this, and then drag it to the desktop, and then the desktop thing is what you'll open. So show of hands, how many of you see this? Who does not see this? Okay, so help the people near you. So again, what you're gonna do is get to this, and then drag that file, the blue file, into the desktop, and then open that. But let's all, so now, this is what you will all do with your surveys. First, we're gonna create an independent variable. Click on the comedy thing. So you have to scroll over. Show of hands, who does not see this? So scroll over until you see comedy. So I should say, here's one general thing that'll happen. So if you look at the bottom left, there's two views, data view and variable view. You'll spend most of your time in data view. This is like Excel. Variable view is the information about, in this case, your variable. Well, obviously your variables. But data view is where you'll spend most of your time. Okay, right click on comedy and click sort ascending or descending. It doesn't matter which one. So then this should happen. So now everyone is neatly organized into whether they talked about the comedy movie or the horror movie. I don't like horror movies. Someone wrote. Okay, right click on comedy again and click insert variable. So right-click, insert variable. And actually now, do go into variable view. Your variable should be here. It should be called like variable OL1 or something like that. So change it to, let's just say, movie condition. You cannot do spaces. So it won't let you do a space bar.
Got it.
So you can call it condition, independent variable, call it whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But just something easy. Okay, so everyone should have something like this now. So movie condition or condition, and should be a blank space beside this. So, okay, so show of hands, who does not have this still? Okay, so now we're just gonna pick a number. So we'll just do 1 and 2. So let's make the comedy 2 and the horror movie 1. Sorry. Okay, so here's the easy way to do it. Just click 2, copy it, and then select all this. You can do right click paste. Done. You can type 2 in 15 times if you want, but the easier thing to do is just type it once, copy it, and then paste it over the whole thing. And then do the same thing for horror. Horror is going to be 1. Control C, Control V. So now, everyone who did the horror movie question gets a 1. Everyone who did this gets a 2. Okay, now this next step is not strictly speaking necessary, but one thing that's a good practice to do is to go into variable view. So here's the movie condition. Go to values, it should say none. Click on the 3 dots beside none. Hit the plus sign. And we're going to say 1 is horror. And then plus again. 2 is comedy. You could just double check later, but it's just good to have that there. And let's just double check that I did it right. Yep, 1 is horror, 2 is comedy. Okay, so now we have a nice variable for the condition. Yep.
How do you get to like set value?
Yeah, so I'll do that. I'll do that again one more time. So this is not strictly speaking necessary, but it's a good practice. Click on variable view. Click so the values. Find the one beside movie condition. There should be 3 dots. So first, here I'll just come over. So one thing I'll say while they wrap up. So this is easier in this case because there's just one question for each of the dependent variables. If you have a scale, you'll have to add them together. There's different ways of doing that. Don't worry about this too much right now, but the way you do it is, actually, no, we'll do it. Let's just get it all out. So one thing to do, go to transform and click compute variable. Beside target variable, this is where you make up the new name. So let's say we're going to make a new thing, hapaversion. It's happiness and extraversion together.
Got it.
So go down to the bottom. You have the 2 questions, how happy are you and how extroverted are you? Click on happy, and then click this arrow. So happiness is here. And then hit the plus. Same thing for extroversion. You should see this. So just again, I type in a name here. I'm calling it hapaversion, the variable combination of these 2. Click on happy, and then click the arrow, then plus, then extroversion, and then arrow.
And then equals?
And then no equals, just leave it like that.
Copy.
And then once you've done that, just click OK. Okay, if incorrect variable name, you didn't do the arrow, right? So at least the way I did it, I have a new variable here, hapaversion, which as you can see if you scroll down, is always the sum of those 2. Okay, so one person I know is figuring something out. Other than that, does anyone else not have this? Show of hands. Good. So that's what you'll do with yours, because probably you'll have more than one question. I mean, if you have 1 for each, it's fine. But remember that you have to have 2 dependent variables. So if you have 5 questions in the scale, you'll do that, but for all 5, and then you'll have scale total. Okay, so now let's get to the fun. Well, as I said, this is all fun, of course, but analyze. So we're going to do these 2 things. We're going to do a t-test. To see if the effect of the manipulation was significant, and a correlation. Actually, let's do correlation first. Correlation's simpler. So go to Analyze, and you'll see Correlate. bivariate, which just means two variables. Bivariate.
It's two.
So then you take, forget about half aversion, that's not, so just click these two, and then put them here. We will always do Pearson's.
How happy and how.
So we're going to see if happiness and extroversion are correlated, which they should be. Tests of significance, I'll say more about this in a few weeks. The rule is you do a two-tailed test if you made no prediction. You do a one-tailed test if you made a prediction. So let's say, okay, I'm going to do a prediction. I predict these will be positively correlated. So if you predict the direction, use the one-tailed. So it's considered officially predicted.
Okay. And then press
Yeah,
OK.
they're not. So it's not significant, which it's a small sample, so not
I
surprising.
assume we're pressing OK.
And yes, you press OK to get this.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this was not significant. So here are the key numbers, which may not make sense yet, but this is the correlation number. So Pearson correlation, so 0.2, which is it's positive. It's not that big. This number you want to be big. This number you want to be small. Significance, which means the p-value, that's the number you want under 0.05, which I'll be explaining more in a future class. Okay, so that's the correlation. Any questions about that? That's this thing.
Okay.
Okay, I see no okay. Now we'll do the t-test, analyze, compare means, go to independent samples t-test.
Hold up. Trying to find compare means.
Okay, so analyze, or it'll say compare means and proportions.
Got it.
So compare means and proportions, go to independent samples t-test. So you have two things now. Grouping variable is SPSS's term for independent variable. So we're going to put movie condition into grouping variable. Okay.
Okay.
So this is compare means and proportions, independent samples t-test. Then click define groups, and just one, it's already there, so just 1 and 2, continue. Just move, so movie condition goes here, into grouping variable. Grouping variable is SPSS's name for the independent variable.
Okay.
And then you're gonna click define groups, and make it 1 and 2, yes. Okay, good. So now I'm going to close this. So if you're not here yet, I'm just going to do that again. Analyze. Everyone follow along. Analyze. Compare means and proportions. And then go down to independent samples t-test. Click that. Okay, show of hands who does not see this in front of their screen. Good. Okay. So go to movie condition. Movie condition goes into grouping variable. So this is where you put the two labels. So right now it says question mark, that's not good. Click define groups. I think it just defaults to 1 and 2, so it's just good practice to always make it 1 and 2, makes your life easier. And then just click continue. And then you put, so we're actually gonna do two tests. We're gonna see if the movie condition affected happiness or extroversion. So we'll put both in. It's already said estimate effect sizes, that's good. So just leave everything else as is and click OK. Okay, so, doesn't surprise me. So the key numbers for you are the significance. So here I didn't make a prediction, so we'll use the two-tailed tests. Just assume equal variances. So basically, look at the top. So look at the top sig number here. So significance, again, is the p-value. So look at these two. So it's not significant. Cohen's d is the point estimate. So these two numbers are the Cohen's d. So Cohen's d for extroversion, that's the effect size for extroversion. This is the effect size for happiness. Just as an aside, that's the question in a second. Not testable yet. Cohen's d is how many standard deviations apart are the two groups. So if there's a whole standard, so like, if there was a whole standard deviation of difference, it might look something like that. So this is only 0.2, so it's only a fifth or a quarter of a standard deviation apart in the case of happiness. Okay, sorry, there's a hand. What was your question?
Yes, you're naming a lot of different things and telling us if they're significant or not, and I'm curious if at some point we're gonna be learning this, or are we supposed to?
100%. So right now I'm being very cursory. If you don't know what how many of you know what a p-value is?
Oh, sure, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, so at least you have some familiarity, even if you don't remember exactly what it is. So,
I know there's like tape.
Well, like most of these.
yeah, exactly. So don't worry about that right now. Well, I guess worry about it a little bit because now we're gonna do. Well, first of all, show of hands. Who does not see this? Okay, so I'll go back here. So help neighbors. So everyone should be here. Everyone should have the t-test thingamajig and the correlation thingamajig.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then get help from your neighbors, and I will come around and try to help. Who still does not have this? If your numbers are different, that's don't worry about it. Do worry about it when it's the real thing. Okay, so now, despite how much of a problem it was earlier, let's all log back into Blackboard. So if it's the same browser as your Qualtrics thing, that'll mess up Qualtrics, but we're done with Qualtrics for today, so whatever. But just always remember when you're doing this at home or whatever, keep your Blackboard and Qualtrics on separate browsers if you don't want to suffer. Although even if you don't want to suffer, you will suffer, because as the Buddha said, life is suffering.
Yes.
So as a non-religious person.
And then they're allowed to be. A broken clock is right twice. No, sorry, I didn't say that. I want to keep my job. I like being employed.
Do you know?
I do, yes.
Very much.
Okay, so once you're in yep.
So everything that we're doing here, we just do it.
No, so SPSS is only available on the school, only some of the school computers for that matter. You can use Qualtrics at home, but you cannot use SPSS unless you want to pay large amounts of money to download SPSS, which it's a free country, but I assume none of you are
It's a
loaded
free
down
country,
heavy.
but not a product.
It's yes. So
Right.
SPSS is very expensive. So go to 2301 paper template, click the dots, and please download this. Okay? So then you will have this, click enable editing, and if it does this for some reason, just click the bottom things and get it back to normal. Okay, show of hands, anyone still not have this? Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Delete everything except results. So everything underneath and above results, just delete. So it should look like this. Okay, so now this is the final step of today. So we're going to enter the numbers that we got from today's stuff into here, and you're going to upload that. So actually, I guess I will, since we have lots of time left, so I'll do a little bit of lecturing just so you understand what these numbers are. You'll get review about this later, but it's kind of nice to know what you're throwing in here. So I'm going to ask you to write those in the XX condition at high. So it could be horror or the other condition. M means mean, so that's just the average. Anyone want clarification on the mean? Okay. And then the standard deviation, you may have had, there are different ways of explaining what the standard deviation is, but to a first approximation, what that is it's how far away on average are scores from the mean. So some people are very far from the mean, some are close to the mean. Standard deviation is how far away on average they are. At least that's a good first pass. The number t, don't worry about thinking about too much, but I'll tell you what to put in for t and the number beside it. The p-value is good to think about. The p-value is the most important number in this whole process. The p-value is the one that you want to be less than 0.05. What is the p-value? The p-value is the probability of getting your results if there's no difference in the population, or no correlation in the population. So in the case of the correlation, for example, so we just got a measure of happiness and extraversion. So it was whatever, like 0.23. And this is with a population, or with a sample of 25. What are the chances that we would get a correlation this big if in the population the correlation is literally 0? That's what the p-value is. So just to make it extreme, let's say that this class had not 25 people or whatever it is, but 1,000 people, and the correlation was 0.7. This with 1,000 students. What are the chances we would get a correlation that big with that big of a sample if in the population the correlation is 0? The intuition you should have is it's very, very unlikely. It's very unlikely we get a correlation that big if the correlation is 0 in the population. So in a case like that, the p-value might be like 0.001. It would be very small. So it's smaller, you want bigger correlation numbers, but small p-values. Yes?
And then what's the difference between a one-sided P and a two-sided P?
Don't worry about that right now, but one thing that's just true is the one-sided P is always twice as big. So the one-sided P is what you should use when you made a directional prediction. So you said, I predicted the correlation would be positive, or I predicted it would be negative. Two-sided is, it could be either one. So although it's harder to get a significant result with a two-tailed test, but it's more honest if you didn't make a directional prediction. Yes?
I was just gonna say I find it easier to like get the image of the bell curve in my head, and so
Yes.
a one-sided P is like one side of that bell curve, and it doesn't include anything else of it. But like the two-sided is you're looking at the whole thing, like broken up.
Yes.
They're the ends of like the curve.
So if you want to, that's helpful if you want to think about it that way. And the curve is basically all possible effects you could get with a sample that big. But if that gives you a headache, don't worry about one-sided versus two-sided for now. And then this is the Cohen's D, and that's the thing I said earlier with, I'm just going to read this. How many standard deviations apart are the two distributions? So let's say it's IQ, right? So let's say you have a new IQ pill. So what's the average IQ? 100. What's the standard deviation? 15. Okay, good. You guys did take intro, or at least one person did. So standard deviation is 15. So that means people are on average 15 points away from the mean. Some are farther, some are closer. So let's say that people take the new IQ pill, and the average in the new IQ pill group is 115, not 1,000. That's a great pill. So that would be a Cohen's D of 1. It's one, the effect size is one whole standard deviation. There's one standard deviation between the two groups, the placebo and the IQ pill group. Okay, so I just want you to get some sense, and then I'm sure you've all seen correlation numbers, so same idea here. R is the number for correlation, so that's the one for the correlation between happiness and extraversion. Okay, so let's just go through this now painfully, but it's good practice. So have open your output here. So you can just follow along, and then so for the 5% today, you're going to submit this with the numbers in here and screenshots of this thing here. That's what you'll submit to me. If your numbers got messed up, it's fine. Just enter whatever's in your thing. So let's do correlations first. So correlation is actually at the bottom of my example. So this number here is the correlation between extraversion and happiness in the sample. So X was positively correlated with Y, so we say extraversion. Although, okay, here, so it says was correlated, but it's not significant, right? Significant means the p-value is below 0.05. P-value is here, it's beside sig 1 tail. So sig is 0.122, and as all of you hopefully know, that is not below 0.05. So we say it was positively correlated. I'll just say but. There's different ways of writing. I'll just write the next sentence. This was not significant. So extraversion was positively correlated with happiness. R equals 0.237. P equals 0.122. This was not significant. You could just also write extraversion was not significantly correlated with happiness. That's fine too. Some picky people would say you shouldn't say it's positively correlated. If it's not significant, you should just say it was not significantly correlated with. I'm not going to be that picky. As long as you get the right numbers in there and communicate to me somehow. Actually, I'm going to make my text bigger. That'll be nice. Let's increase that size. Yeah. So that's what we should write for the correlation bit, and I got that from here, as I say. Okay, any questions about the correlation part? Okay, let's do the next one. So here we have to use a few different things. Let's do happiness first. So who's happier? So the comedy people are happier than the horror people. That makes sense, that's good. So those in the comedy condition had higher happiness scores. And you can see that right here, right? The mean, at least in my case, happiness for the comedy people is 4.93 and 4.50 for the other ones. Let's put that in here. So the comedy people are 4.93. Standard deviation for the comedy people is 1.730. So the standard deviation is here under STD deviation. Standard error, just ignore that. I heard that. So okay, I'll do it here. So I've put in the numbers for the comedy condition from here, right? So here's the group statistics. How happy do you feel? The comedy people are 4.93. This is the mean happiness for the comedy condition. The mean happiness for the horror condition is here. And then right beside each one is the standard deviation. So here, I got 4.93 from here, and the standard deviation from here. So that means the average happiness was just under 5, with the average distance from that being 1.7. And then you do the same thing for the horror conditions. Those in the horror condition, we'll put their numbers in. So those in the horror condition had only 4.5. So they're a little bit less happy. Standard deviation is 1.508, so a little bit of a narrower range, very slightly narrower. Now, okay, so that's just the number. Now, whether it's significant or not is going to come from here, from this bit. And by the way, just for simplicity's sake, just always go with equal variances assumed in this class. This other thing, you'll learn about that in 2300. We're just going to ignore equal variances. We're just going to say, I decree you all have equal variances for all your samples. It's kind of a lie, but I make it so. They're all equal variances. So we're going to go across. Okay, so T is what will go here in this number. So, and actually I'll just say, it's different. So we'll look at the p-value first. We've made no prediction, so two-sided p, that is definitely not below 0.05. So this difference is not significant. So the t number is after the equal sign, so the t is minus 0.667. Minus 0.7. The df, degrees of freedom, goes in here. So it's t, and then the degrees of freedom goes here. Okay? And don't worry too much what that means right now. The p-value is the thing to think about. So the p-value is 0.551 because we made no prediction for the effect here. I only made a prediction for the correlation. Okay? So we've gotten this far. Show of hands, who has not gotten up to the p? Anyone need help? It'll give some time. Your neighbors can help you. So I'll just say some things again. So the number in the, I really should have put letters here actually. In fact.
That's 24, which I can only assume is,
So 24 is the degrees of freedom.
okay, and then.
That's what goes in there.
And then, hold on.
So just here, let me just explain actually, just for everybody, what we're doing for this part. So
There you go. That's where
we
are.
remember we got one sample, which is everyone here except me. We randomly assigned to two groups. One did horror, one did comedy, and then we measured happiness and extraversion. For this right here, we're looking at, is this difference significant? The difference between how happy the horror people are and how happy the comedy people are. The comedy people were a little bit happier, but not significant. The p-value is not even close to being below 0.05. So, and then for the next and the last part, we'll do the same thing for extraversion. Did the manipulation change how extroverted people said they are? So just to be clear, that's what we're doing here. So does anyone need help getting up to the p number? So we're just up to here now, just up to the p. Yeah, I'll just go over it. Just one or two. Okay, next. We'll do the Cohen's D. So I'm still on happiness. So now I almost made this mistake earlier. So for Cohen's D, that's the effect size. So that's this right here, right? So if there's two groups, one has an IQ of 100, the other has an IQ of 115, like it's the pill case, that means there's one standard deviation gap between the two groups because the standard deviation is 15 for IQ. So that's Cohen's D of 1, which is huge. You almost never get that. So you get it from the point estimate beside Cohen's D, not the standardized. It's the point estimate. So in this case, it's minus 0.263. So minus 0.263. And then beside it, there's the 95% confidence interval. It means you're 95% confident that the real effect size is somewhere in between these two numbers. That's what it means. I'm just gonna put, so we put the first one here, so the lower one goes first, so minus 1.034. For me, I've got that right here. And 0.5. So that's from here. So Cohen's D is right here. I'll point at my hand. So how happy do you feel? Cohen's D. The point estimate goes here. That's the number for Cohen's D, which is again how many standard deviations apart are they? The confidence interval. Well, think of political polls, right? They always have that plus or minus. So 42% of people vote for the Liberals, plus or minus 2 in a poll. That's basically what this is. Except here, it's the confidence interval for the Cohen's D. So we put that here. So put the lower one, so it's the lower bound is minus 1 point whatever, the upper bound is 0.5. Put those in there. Okay, so here's I guess the test, or now do the same thing for this next one. The next one is you're going to do the same thing, those in the comedy and the horror condition, but now you're going to get it from extraversion. So there's a set of numbers, a different set of numbers there, right? So here's the extraversion. And just do the same thing. Get the T in there, the degrees of freedom, the p-value, and et cetera, et cetera. So, and sorry, there was a hand. Oh, yeah.
I was just gonna note that in the second section, it does have opposite language, so just make sure you note that. It says lower instead of higher.
What do you mean?
In the exhibition,
Oh, yeah.
had lower
So in
scores.
this, I just made this up. Like, so make it correct. So for example, oh yes, in this case it says not significant. In this case that's correct, but that's just an example. So make the language correct for what's actually here.
Just a quick question on that. So for the second one, do you want us to do the same thing but with the horror condition, or do you want us to talk about the extroversion rather than happiness?
So you still, in both cases, you're talking about the horror and the happiness people, like they're higher than this. But it's just in this case, the DV is extraversion, whereas in the first case it's happiness. I don't care which order you do it in, just make sure all the information's there. Again, what we're doing is we're looking at whether so there's two groups, comedy, horror. We're looking at whether one group has more happiness and whether one group has more extraversion. That's what these two short paragraphs are about. And this is good to practice because this is exactly what you will do with your survey on day-to-day. So all that's left to do, just to be clear, even though it's here, I'll say it again. So what you have to do is fill in all the numbers here. So there should be no XXX's left. Everything should be filled in with real numbers from your, not mine, but your thing. And then take a screenshot. Does anyone not know how to do a screenshot? Okay, so
Copy them.
or copy and paste, do whatever you gotta do.
Copy them as like pictures.
Yes, that's key. Yeah, paste as an image. Yeah, otherwise it looks fun. So, sorry. And then so paste that below, and that's it. And so on Blackboard, there's this tutorial participation. So that's due today at 6:30, so 10 minutes after the end of class. So that's like an hour from now. So you have an hour to figure all that out, and then just upload the Word document there. As long as I look through and the numbers are in the right place, 5% of your grade for free. So we have the next hour, and I'm willing to walk your hand through the process. So whatever help you need for the next hour, I am willing to. Okay, and so just to be clear, once you have finished this and pasted the screenshots or the images or whatever and uploaded it to the tutorial participation here, you're good to go. I have nothing more to teach you, or you can stay here and do it, but like that's all. That's the end of the tutorial day. Next week is a normal lecture. We're covering chapters 3 and 4. So. For those of you who are leaving, I'll see you next week. But as I say, I'll stick around for the next hour for anyone who needs help. One other thing I'll say, though, by the way, if this was your real survey, at the end of this process, you should download. So this is like the data file. It's a separate thing. You should save this and the output file, which they're actually two files. Save them both and either email them to yourself or, better yet, download it onto a USB stick when it's your actual survey, because then you can use it later for if you want to check something or whatever.
What if you already signed up?
Oh no, so today it doesn't matter. I mean when it's your real survey. Today it doesn't matter at all. It's just good practice. So. But yeah, today you don't have to save anything. As long as you upload this with all the numbers and screenshots, you are good to go.